All right, hey guys, welcome to Traditional Bow Hunting Wilderness Podcast. This is Jason Samkovic. Today we're going to talk about your arrows. Should they be stiffer or weaker, and what does it do for your sight picture? That's kind of what we're after today to try and solve. And there's there's no right or wrong answer to this. You want a well-tuned arrow, but there is some considerations that you want to take in for when you're actually shooting. Okay, when you're going, that may or may not make a difference for you. Me personally, I like my arrows to be a little more on the stiff side. I know we want to shoot bullet holes. I know we want them absolutely perfect, and I get that. Keep in mind, I am shooting a non-center shot ASL style hill bow. So perfect bullet holes are not that easy to get. Okay, I do them, but I still. If I shoot 10 bear shafts or shoot 10 arrows through paper, I'll get 2 perfect holes, and the other ones will have a little bit of a rip one way or the other. But I prefer to have a slightly stiffer arrow in my setup. Now, there's a reason for that. The reason that I don't correct it and try to fine-tune that last little bit. When I shoot my bear shafts, you can see when they're hitting that target, if this is true center to you is like right here, is perfect the way we want. Mine are just slightly kicked, just a smidge stiff, and I want them that way for 2 reasons. One, when you put a broadhead on the end of your arrow, that broadhead is going to is going to take away from your stiffness a little bit. Okay, the broadheads just do. They're going to tone it down some. Even though they're the same weight, you're going to lose a little bit right there also. The other factor is that when I shoot, if my arrows are tuned exactly perfect, so like I've been using these arrows for a very long time to set up, and they work really good because all my bows are the same weight. But when I was in that process, when I started getting perfect tune or slightly even weak, then what I noticed is when I shot, that riser would end up being in my way of where I wanted to see. Okay, it ends up kind of being, the riser on farther out shots. Like if you look at, this is my eye that I'm aiming with, that riser would be like this and start to block that out to get that exact flight. The reason for it is when you shoot a stiff arrow, your impact is going to be this way. Okay, it's going to impact over this way. If it doesn't matter if you're right or left-handed. Forget all that. But just know that from your bow, if your arrow is stiff, they are going to impact over here. If your arrow is weak, they're going to impact over here. Okay, same thing applies if we have a recurve, like my wife's recurve here. Okay, hang on, let me get my tab out of my way. But so with this, if we shoot this, that arrow, this being a right-handed bow, if it's stiff, that arrow is going to impact over this way. If it's weak, it's going to impact over this way, all right? So knowing that, what we want to avoid is being too weak that the riser gets in the way of our shot and blocks our vision, okay? I don't want that. So, and you don't really notice it on close shots. Like here, we're only 17 yards. I was just shooting a couple arrows, but at 17 yards, you don't notice that too much, all right? It's not going to be that real big, significant, noticeable difference as you're looking here. I'm trying to line up my right eye like a right-hander would, okay? But or like this, but when you start shooting out there further, you will notice it more. And what's going to happen is if the arrows are too weak, your hand will end up blocking your sight line, okay? It'll block it. This is weird doing it right-handed. Just know it's the same right or left, that the arrow is going to, if it is stiff, the impacts are going to be away from your riser. Okay, that is where your points are going to hit over there somewhere. If it's weak, it's going to be on the inside into your riser. So when I'm holding my bow, if that's impacting weak, that means that my bow is going to come in like you're seeing here and interfere with my vision of what I want to hit. If I leave them just slightly stiff, I get to clear that out of the riser, look right down over top of that. Again, I shoot with a heavy cant. You guys that don't, whatever, but I get that out of there. By having a slightly stiff arrow, my bow is out of my way of sight from this eye. Not here, where I have to try to almost see through my bow or see right there, right along the arrow. I can get it out of the way like that, and I shoot with a cant. So instead of it being here where that eye starts to get blocked, I'm out here. So by shooting with a stiffer arrow, I get that effect a little bit. Does it have consequences? Yes, it does, a touch, but I shoot very high FOC, and I still use a high back feather, so it's very controlled, and it does fantastic for me. But that is the reason I don't want weak, okay? Because if it's a weak shaft, and on those farther shots, watch my eye right here, this left eye, as I go to shoot that, and I come back in, and I'm ready to draw, like right now it's hitting the camera, okay? Right there, it hits the camera. Okay, or even if we go vertical, right there hits the camera. But if I'm shooting weak, all that eye goes away. Just that little bit of difference takes that eye away because of the fact that the arrow on a weak one will impact into the direction of your bow. It's going to go this way. The impact is, okay, it's going to hit somewhere over here. Maybe not much. You know, it might just be, instead of hitting right here true to perfect, it might hit right here, but that right there moves my eye and hides my eye. So I prefer a stiffer shaft personally. And again, like I said, when you put a broadhead on there, it does make a difference in there. So for me, I'd rather be just slightly stiff on my arrows than I would be 100% perfect tune or even weak for me, because then it puts them right where I'm looking. My eye focuses exactly on the spot I want, and it lines up, and that arrow comes in, and it's perfect. It's that perfect for me, that perfect line. So if you're, I don't want to step on her bow, so we're right here. When I come in and I draw that, I get that perfect alignment right there. That's my eye over that, and I don't have that riser in the way, so it's a nice advantage. People think I can't my bow heavy to get that riser out of the way. Maybe I do. That's not really the reason. The reason is because I'm a short guy and I shoot on the ground a lot. So when I'm down on the ground, my bow often has to be horizontal, and I shoot with this kind of hunkered in stance, so it all lines up for me. I'm not a upright vertical kind of shooter. That's not me. But a stiffer arrow usually has a lot more potential for you. I think it's better to be a little stiff than it is to be a little weak. If you can't find exact perfect, or if you're at exact perfect, but yet you find that riser keeps getting in your way of your eye and you can't see around it very well, go with just a slightly stiffer. Just a little bit stiffer will move that bow out of your way and give you that shot. The feathers are going to correct it anyway. And we're not talking about, you know, I'm not talking about going tremendous spine differences where when they're sticking in the target, they're sticking on an angle like that. I'm talking just a very slight stiff, okay? Just a little kick, stiff, just a smidge. But it will get that clearance for you to be able to shoot. So hopefully it's a little tip that helps you out. And that's my opinion on stiffer versus weak arrows and what I would use and why I use them. So thanks for watching.